For generations, distance had been safety. Oceans, mountains, and sheer geography had protected nations from one another. Wars were fought along borders at the edge of reach, limited by how far men and machines could travel. And then came a moment in history when that assumption collapsed. During the Second World War, the United States introduced a new reality to the battlefield, one where distance no longer offered protection, where the sky itself became a highway of power, and where enemies slowly came to a terrifying realization. There was no place left to hide. What the world witnessed was not just the rise of new aircraft, but the emergence of a distinctly American form of strength, a combination of technology, industry, and resolve that transformed the very meaning of warfare and became a lasting source of national pride. Before American long-range aircraft dominated the skies, war still followed old rules. Armies marched, navies sailed. Cities far from the front lines believed themselves safe, protected by miles of land or water. Enemy planners counted on this. They believed that even if battles were lost, their industrial centers, their command structures, and their morale would remain intact. The United States shattered that belief, not through a single dramatic moment, but through a steady, relentless demonstration of reach. Aircraft that could cross vast distances, strike deep into enemy territory, absorb punishment, and return again and again. To those on the receiving end, it felt less like combat and more like inevitability. The first sign that the rules had changed came with the arrival of American heavy bombers in numbers the enemy had never anticipated. The B-29 Flying Fortress did more than carry bombs. It carried a message. High above the ground, beyond the reach of many defenses, these aircraft appeared in the sky with an unsettling consistency. Enemy pilots and anti-aircraft crews fired at them, watched them take hit after hit, and still saw them continue forward. Wings torn, fuselages scarred, engines smoking, and yet they flew on. Reports circulated describing American bombers that should not have survived. To the enemy, the experience was demoralizing. They were not simply fighting machines. They were confronting a design philosophy rooted in endurance, redundancy, and an almost stubborn refusal to fall from the sky. What made the B-29 especially frightening was not just its toughness, but its reach. It could strike targets previously considered untouchable. Factories, rail hubs, and infrastructure far from the front lines were suddenly exposed. The enemy realized that the war was no longer something happening over there. It was overhead. Day after day, the sound of engines became a reminder that American power could arrive without warning from distances that once guaranteed safety. Morale suffered. Civilians and military planners alike began to understand that the geography they had relied upon was now meaningless. As the war expanded, the United States pushed this concept even further. The B-24 Liberator extended American reach across entire theaters of war. With longer range and massive payload capacity, it operated where few other aircraft could. It crossed oceans, deserts, and hostile territory with apparent ease. Enemy intelligence struggled to keep pace. New bases appeared. New routes opened. What once seemed logistically impossible became routine. The enemy was forced into a defensive posture not because they lacked courage, but because they lacked answers. How do you protect everything when everything is within reach? This constant pressure created a psychological effect that went far beyond physical destruction. Enemy commanders spoke of exhaustion, not just of resources, but of certainty. They could no longer predict where the next blow would land. Air defenses were stretched thin, forced to guard vast areas instead of concentrated fronts. Fighters were scrambled endlessly, only to arrive too late or too high. Each failed interception reinforced the same uncomfortable truth. America had mastered distance, and with it, initiative. Yet even these aircraft were only a prelude to something far more unsettling. When the B-29 Superfortress entered the war, it represented a leap so dramatic that even experienced military leaders struggled to comprehend it. Flying higher than most defenses could reach, faster than many interceptors could climb, and farther than anything that had come before, the B-29 embodied the full weight of American technological ambition. It was pressurized, advanced, and designed for missions of extraordinary range. For the enemy, its appearance marked a turning point. This was no longer incremental improvement. This was a declaration that the future had arrived, and it belonged to the United States. Enemy pilots who attempted to intercept the B-29 found themselves at a disadvantage from the start. Their aircraft strained to reach its altitude,